Hey, this is Felicia Moore. Welcome to another episode of Realty, Resources, and Reality. They say that it's becoming a buyer's market here in Metro Atlanta. Let's look into it. Hello, Felicia Moore here, welcoming you to another episode of Realty, Resources, and Reality. I'm glad to be your host. Yes, we're back with new content. I've been out and about doing some amazing things, once in a lifetime things, and you won't believe what it is. But I will be talking about it on this show because I learned so many lessons. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I want to get into a most recent article that's just come out by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in the last few days. And this is now July 21st, so maybe a couple of days ago. The title is Metro Atlanta Becomes Buyer's Market for those who can't afford it. And so we're going to talk about that, kind of delve into the article. You can look in the description. I am going to put the link to the full article because we won't go through all of it, but I just wanted to touch on some of the highlights of that article. But before we get started, I'm just asking you to do me a favor. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do so by hitting the subscribe button. When you do that, make sure you hit that all for all notifications so you won't ever miss a show. We're going to be doing some live shows coming up, or it could be pre-recorded like this one, but at least you'll know they're there. You'll be notified. And right now, if you could just take a moment of your time and hit that like button, it helps because it lets people know that you like this content. And if you like this content, YouTube will share it with other people. So please do that. And also, I would like for you to tell me what you want to talk about, or what you want me to talk about, or if you even want to talk on the show. I want to make sure that the content that we're doing here is something that you would like, or there may be areas that you would like to know more about. You can do that and give me that information for the show. Or if you just have a general real estate question, there's no charge. We like to provide ourselves as resources here at Exit Realty West Midtown. So if you have any real estate related questions or comments or concerns, give me a call. Give me a reach out. You can send it to Ask Felicia at exitwestmidtown.com, or you can text Ask Felicia to 85377, and I will respond, and I would love to help you. Okay, so let's talk about this article. Metro Atlanta becomes a buyer's market for those who can't afford it. And that's important information, the part about for those who can't afford it. That is one of the big issues is affordability. We've talked about that. I know it was a focus of the mayoral campaign that I was in. And this mayor has put forth a lot of effort in affordable housing and trying to get it so that people can afford to rent as well as to buy. But everybody knows, or we've talked about in the previous iterations, that housing prices are quite high. They're quite high here in the Metro Atlanta area. So that's where those who can afford to. So let's look at this article real quick. It says that the sales price of a house has decreased 2.5% year over year, pushing it into the U.S. metros with the biggest decreases. So we're in the areas where their biggest decreases are coming. However, it is becoming a buyer's market. Redfin found that there were 63% more sellers than buyers. So, your basic economic thing, you know, supply and demand. So, there are more sellers than there are buyers. Then the buyers are now beginning to have a bit of an advantage. It may be just a softening seller's market, but because these trends are going, it seems that we're going into a buyer's market. But here's the catch: it's still expensive to buy a home here. The medium sales price now is $397,000. So it was 400 to 450 somewhere in there, but now we're at 397. That is still a lot of a house for someone to finance, particularly in today's market. So we are in the Atlanta metro area, they say, reflecting the national trend where it's tilting more towards a buyer's market. But high interest rates combined with a higher than usual amounts of supply, what does that mean? The prices just have to come down. So, because of the trend that we're seeing now, prices may come down because there are so many sellers out there and there's so many buyers, fewer buyers, and people are looking for deals. Everybody's looking for a home, whether houses are high price or low price. People need housing, and this is an ongoing thing. So, Redfin has ranked Metro Atlanta fourth among the U.S. metros for price declines. So that is good that we are seeing a price decline. But again, who can afford it? Uh, so there are a lot more sellers out there, and what they're doing is offering a lot more concessions to the buyers. They're helping with closing costs more, repairs, mortgage rate buy downs, anything that they can do, particularly when you are in a point where you have a home and you're trying to sell, is usually for a purpose. It's not just because you woke up one morning and said, hey, I don't like this house, I'm going to move somewhere else. And particularly in these days and times, and I'm going to use an example of a client that I had who would like to downsize and move on, but when you do the dollars and cents, it doesn't make sense. Because even if you sell your home, are you going to be able to have enough money to purchase that next home? And then when you look at the interest rates you may have, which may be low, if you've got a 3-4% interest rate, why would you be moving into a home with a higher interest rate, a larger payment, et cetera, et cetera? So people are having to make those decisions. And so some sellers are not putting their houses on the market now because they don't know where they're going to go, because there also will be a buyer. So it's a double-edged sword. But it's good news for those who are buyers who are actively looking in the market, as they say, but it still may be out of reach for many people. So I want to ask, okay, well, if you had to buy a $400,000 house, which is basically what's in the market now, if you're using the 2836 rules, and this is the rule that common lenders use, that means that you are going to have a household income of around $5,800. So let's just say about $110,000. Because 28% of your monthly gross income will cover about $2,470 per month in housing costs. And so you really don't want to spend more, if you can, than 30 to 36% of your housing costs, actually 30% or less. And so when you look at that, we're talking about people needing to make anywhere between 90 and 100,000 or more, depending on the loan product. And you can deal with those with your lenders when you get pre-qualified to see what works for you. You can always take advantage, as you can, of all of the down payment assistance programs that they have out there. A lot of times people leave those off of the table because it's a little bit more extra paperwork. You might have to go to a training seminar. There's various reasons why people don't do that. But in this market, you want to get all of the value you can get because housing costs are high and not everyone is making 90 to 100,000 or more a year to be able to afford a home. So that's one of the things you really have to be careful about. Yeah, you can be excited it's a buyer's market, but can you still afford it? And that is something that you need to do. Take some time. And just now, I tell people because of the market, and I told my client and others, another client that I'm working with, the market is a bit crazy. It may not be in your favor right now. We may not be able to find something that you're looking for, but this is now the time for you to prepare. And preparation, believe me, it makes things a lot smoother. So now may be a good time if you're looking to buy to go and talk to a mortgage broker or someone and just see what could I qualify for if I had to go buy that house today. Then you can have a sense of, okay, well, your credit is needs some work, or you may need to have a little bit more money. You can work through those issues. You can start saving for your down payment, or you can start looking into down payment assistance programs, or you can really take the time to view neighborhoods, and go around and see where it is you would like to live. There's so many things that you can do in the meantime that can certainly help you in the long run when you get ready, when that market is just where you want it to be and you can go where you want to go. So please take this time. So anyway, $120,000 a year is really makes you in the most comfortable position. But again, between 90 and that $120,000. And many of you say, I don't make that much money, Felicia, so you're not talking to me. Well, I am still talking to you because I'm telling you that you can prepare yourself, that you can put yourself in the position. One thing about real estate that I know and I've learned is it's buyer's market today is sellers tomorrow. It's housing costs are so high today, then there's a bust or a boom, and then you can buy things cheap. So always be prepared and always be ready. So right now, the 30-year fixed weekly average for fixed mortgage nationwide is around 6.75%. Believe me, interest rates mean a big difference in terms of that payment. And we certainly would hope to see the interest rates go down. We know based on the Federal Reserve, that's not going to be anytime soon, but this is your preparation time. Take this time to get yourself ready so when the market does change. So if you are a buyer and you have the income and you've been pre-qualified, please make sure you understand that it's your time. For you to call more shots. If a seller is really interested in selling their property, they're going to make concessions. They're going to help you with the closing costs. They're going to help you with the real estate commission. They're going to help you to get that house sold if they really, truly need to sell it and sell it now. So please take that into account. Also, I want you to make sure that no matter what you do, you don't get discouraged in this market because, again, real estate is cyclical. It changes. And so while it may not be for you today, it certainly will be for you tomorrow. I have a few other things that I just want to talk to you about. I'm going to do it right after the break. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Hi, we're back, and I want to make sure you know here at Exit Realty, we want to keep you current. So I just had to get that one in about the buyer's market because when things shift and change, you want to know about it or have a heads up. Some are saying it could just be a softer seller's market, but some are saying that it's becoming a buyer's market. Whichever way it is, prepare yourself if you're not ready, and if you're ready, know what negotiating power you have when you go to the table. I'm going to put a link to the article in the description box so you can go and you can read the whole article. And there's also some sublinks in that article that can take you further into detail of that information. But I do want to remind you again, here at Exit Realty West Midtown, we want to be a resource for you and your family and friends. Feel free to call me at Ask Felicia at Exit Realty, westmidtown.com. I'm always available. If you have real estate needs, I am an associate broker. I would love to help you. Or if you just have a question or you would like a comparative market analysis, know where your property is, or just some advice, we do that for free. Feel free to give me a reach out. I also would like your show and ideas. That's always helpful. I also want to remind you, if you haven't already looked at those property tax assessments, and I hope you have already sent in your appeal. If you think that you need to be appealing it, we need to keep up with those dates that are going on. And then also, I just want you to know that I want to see you. We want to get out in the community. Please invite us to your community meetings and groups. We have a small presentation, particularly one of the things we're focused on here is making sure people keep their title to their property safe and secure. We can talk about that and some other things, just general information that homeowners need to know. After buying the house is not the end of it. We've got to maintain it. We've got to watch out for dates. We've got to inspect it. I try to do shows on all of those things so that it'll keep you top of mind. You don't just set it and forget it with home ownership. There's always some things that you need to be doing or being cognizant of. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Realty Resources and Reality. I will see you again soon. Take care.